Hey, it's Soul with another video. Normally you'd be expecting an episode of Warcraft Weekly, but today I want to dive into some specifics on patch 9.2 instead of some vague overview of what is and is not testable. So let's cover professions in the upcoming patch. What's new, what's hot, and how upset should we be? If you want to keep up with 9.2 development, subscribe to the channel and hit that like button for the algorithm, and let's get started. First off, Legendaries. 9.2 is following in the footsteps of 9.1 by introducing a Vestige of the Eternal. Like the Vestige of Origins, this is a reagent that's added to legendary recipes and increases the rank by a factor of 3 instead of 2. This means that, like before, you'll need a rank 4 skill level and a Vestige to make a rank 7 reagent, the highest level. Let's talk about that for a moment. With only one additional rank, this most likely means the item level gap between rank 6 and 7 is substantial enough to be worth the effort, otherwise people will just keep their rank 6s. Once again, this is a decent win for armor crafters who invested heavily into ranking up their legendary recipes, but it also widens the gap for anyone who happens to be wandering in towards the end of this expansion. It's a worthwhile discussion to have, like should there be profession catch-ups for people who are behind, or does that compromise the efforts of early adopters? Characters with gathering professions are expected to rain down on Zereth Mortis in this patch with new reagents to gather, and all the new recipes in this patch use these as well as older Shadowlands materials. As always, gatherers win. Globally, resources have been trending higher than in the previous patches, but there are definitely outliers. It all depends on your realm. All in all, the material economy has been quite healthy. There are these new things called progenitor enhancements that some professions can make that provide useful benefits, but let's break down what this really means. I'll post them all up on screen so you can take a look at all 8 that we know of. Engineers, alchemists, enchanters, and jewel crafters can each make 2 optional reagents that can be attached to rare crafting recipes. There are also 2 new crafters marks, a general purpose one that lets crafters make item level 233 gear, and a special crafters mark that boosts a piece of gear to 262. Although like the previous mark of the Chained Isle in 9.1, it's unique equipped. You can only wear one of these enhanced items. The most profitable scenario here are for jewel crafters, who are more than likely going to race for the crafter's mark recipe and then sell 262 necks or rings with heavy secondary stats for a massive profit. The progenitor enhancements, they're neat, but they'll still actually work against crafters, depending on how long it'll take for these reagents to become available. A haste-heavy ring that randomly provides primary stats would sell great if someone wants to buy that particular secondary stat and that particular bonus. But like in 9.1, it's not going to be long until this market becomes more saturated and more items are available. Even if legendaries are a big hill to climb, these recipes are very accessible by comparison, and they tend to sell pretty regularly. Once we get a better understanding of how these effects work, we'll make decisions on whether we want to have more than a few crafted pieces that have these effects as opposed to straight item level from other sources. And now for a spattering of other new recipes. Alchemists can craft a cosmic healing potion, which will feel like a must-have for progression-minded players. This potion gives 20,000 healing, as opposed to the spiritual healing potion's 10,000 healing. This requires 2 first flowers, one of the new reagents in Zereth Mortis, so count on this going for quite a bit of gold early on. Scribes can make their usual Vantis rune for the upcoming Sepulchre raid, and a contract for the Enlightened Brokers faction in the new zone. And cooks can make this, an empty kettle of stone soup. It's a feast that gives equivalent stats to the Feast of Gluttonous Hedonism, but instead of a normal feast, it's kind of like a hot pot, if you're familiar with that, but I guess this is more reminiscent of building contributions in Mechagon. Anyone can contribute resources into the pot, and each time you do so, you add 10% towards its completion. Newer meats and fish can be added, or you can select these meat and fish medleys. This is made up of 5 of each meat from previous patches, or 1 of each fish. It's totally up to you and your group how you want to contribute. Fortunately, you don't have to carry these resources on your inventory, having them in your bank works just fine. I'm going to wrap this piece up with, I guess, a bit of complaining. I've long been a critic of how professions are handled in World of Warcraft, and this patch is no different. I actually like what's coming, but I continue to have a problem with this lack of relationship between professions and rewards. Most of you know about the Creation Catalyst, or the feature that lets players convert non-tier set pieces into tier, but why don't professions have its own path to where they can kind of enchant gear to do something similar? Transmog-wise, there are new appearances, including armor and weapons of different tints that drop from tons of sources, but professions can't make any of them, not even just for the sake of appearances. There are multiple skins of mounts and pets that are created thanks to another zone feature called Protoform Synthesis in 9.2. Why not have some of those be crafting recipes? In short, I just want to see more rewards and gimmicks be put into professions rather than expansion features, zone features, and so on. I get that going this route makes these rewards accessible for everyone, but I don't know, it's tilted too far in that direction. And professions can be pretty accessible for all too, if the WoW team wants to make it that way. I'm going to leave you with that thought, and if this video was useful, please, oh please, hit the like button. Subscribe for more 9.2 content, and I'll see you next time. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.